Hey, hello, future teachers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think sometimes we forget how much social media affects education. As teachers, we always think about how we want to guide, teach, shape, and impact our students as much as possible for the better. But we tend to overlook one of the problems that we face in our classrooms today, which is social media. The Queensland Code of Ethics requires teachers to embrace diversity in their classrooms. Our degree will equip us to work with students of different cultures, genders, neurodiversity, religions, classes, and a lot more. Despite differences, social media is the one thing we all have in common. Technology has allowed us to connect and explore. Social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook have granted young people endless opportunities to watch the world and others live their lives from a single virtual perspective. For example, these networks allow users to populate their feeds with highlights depicting their happy lives to garner as many likes as possible, which is often very far from reality. Although being on social media makes us competitive, depressed, and self-conscious, it is dopamine-driven. This is because much of what we see online are curated by AI and algorithms. Just like alcohol, social media has the power to form an addiction that causes social anxiety in our current generation. Unlike alcohol, the access to technology has no age restrictions. This is why, as teachers, we need to look critically at where we get our information and how we form our views in this era. We should delve deeper into the root causes of the social aspects that affect our students' learning experiences and outcomes so that we can slowly but surely optimize our pedagogical approach in the ever-changing world of technology. As it is said, what happens in society affects what happens in a classroom, and what happens in a classroom ultimately affects what happens in society. My educational philosophy is influenced by the Genevan philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Humanist education gives students a sense of agency to gauge their academic progress and personal growth. This approach also allows teachers to connect with students without the mask of authority, empowering them to be their most authentic selves, combating the detrimental effects of social media. Information on social media often carries some degree of bias, where most of our attitudes and beliefs are acquired. I believe that raising students' awareness and understanding of this complex picture encourages them to be curious and self-reflective, rather than being swayed by misinformation. I aspire to help students celebrate their authenticity by fostering a supportive learning environment where they can learn about themselves, how they show up in the world, and how the world impacts them. Doing so will naturally motivate students to become immersed in one another's lives, regardless of their background, building a sense of inclusiveness, belonging, and unity in the classroom. The Australian Professional Standards for Teachers require us to understand how students' learning is influenced by their physical and social-emotional development. Thus, I believe it is critical to educate students the reality of media today, as it will expand their horizons and teach them how to view things from multiple perspectives rather than narrow opinion. Moreover, my teaching pedagogy is guided by Plato's vision of education, which goes hand in hand with Rousseau's philosophy. Plato claimed that academic subjects are the ultimate guide to honing our inquiry. This concept resonates with my perspective of social media in the world as an illusion, as it emphasizes obtaining real-life knowledge. I believe literacy and numeracy help students to be effective communicators and critical thinkers who will thrive in our technology-driven society. Consider this. Despite the idea of belonging in the classroom, one cannot connect with another without the proper skills of communication and the ability to think. Even as adults, we need to know how to communicate effectively to resolve possible conflicts or challenges. Communication is one of the most important skills one can possess throughout a lifetime, and Plato's theory of education sets the basis for this. Together, the intellectual and interpersonal skills I can cultivate in students based on Plato and Rousseau's philosophies will help me achieve my teaching goals. I would like to empower my students to be lifelong learners just like me, with the notion that they can be true and helpful to others as long as they are true to themselves. Thank you for listening.
You can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest, you can beat the world.